Hello and welcome to Undeniable, a new show on License News Network. I'm going to be co-hosting this show and we will be talking about different software licensing topics, and we will take a different take on these topics. So we'll be ranking consultants, services providers, trying to help people watching make better decisions both in their careers but also how they're working with software licensing. And I'm Fredrik Filipsson. I'm co-founder of Redress Compliance. Redress Compliance is an Oracle licensing firm helping companies with Oracle licensing. And I'm so happy to have you here, Alex, co-hosting this show. Do you want to share some words? Hi.
Yeah, so I'm Alexander Golev. I'm a Microsoft licensing consultant and expert, founder of the Some Expert TV channel on YouTube and the Microsoft consultancy called ITAM.
Okay. And what is ITAM doing for anyone who don't know?
Enterprise agreement and other Microsoft long-term agreement negotiations and renewals, Microsoft audit defense for normal companies and service providers, audit readiness, and licensing optimization as well, saving costs, raising adoption, all Microsoft-centric.
All right. Do you have a geographical area where you're working, or are you helping companies around the world?
We work remotely. All our customers are all around the world: New Zealand, South Africa, United States, Russia, Sweden.
Okay, great. And if I can ask you, what? Let's say that someone is tuning in and watching this show today. What is your message? Why should they continue watching us?
We're gonna present some undeniable facts, and if you dare to deny them, please come to our comments. We want to go absolutely nuclear on some stuff. Well, it's a bit hard for me because I'm a polite person, some people say. But we're going to say things here that you won't probably hear from any of the corporate channels.
And if I take a look at our upcoming, might as well just share my screen here, and we can just take a look and share the people. Sorry, we can share the upcoming shows that we have. Hold on a second here. Can you see my screen, Alex?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So this is our channel. I recommend everybody to subscribe so you get notified of our future live streams. And today we're going to talk about top 5 actions that you can take to further your ITAM career. And maybe you want to talk about what we're going to talk about in episode 2.
Yeah.
It's the IBM.
IBM. Well, you know what? I would be grateful if people would suggest their favorite their content creators, because what we want to talk about is not just some people you know or some people we know that are good in Microsoft or IBM or Oracle, etc. We want to promote and we want to actively show appreciation to people who actually create, who educate, who provide value to the community. So if you know those that we don't know, please send them to us.
Yeah, very good point. And we will be ranking the top 5 IBM licensing consultants in 2 weeks.
Do we want to do an opinion poll before that? Say, just publish something and ask people to vote for their favorite content creator?
You can do that. You can do that. Try it out on LinkedIn and see how many are engaging. And well, in 1 month, we're going to talk about top 5 Oracle licensing consultants, and we're going to rank them, who we think are the best. And then we have Microsoft licensing consultants, and then we're finishing it off with SAP consultants before we take a summer.
Please help us with the SAP consultants, because right now I only know one company that produces content. That's it. So I'd like to see more. I'd like to see what I don't know, SAP is not my topic, so maybe there's something that is not visible. That's what the comment section is for. So comment, please.
Okay, and I think let's get started with your list, Alex.
Yeah, let's get started with my list. So top 5 actions to take if you want to progress in your ITAM career. And here is my top 5, starting from the 5th, my view, which is, well, a very practical view in this regard. So number 5 is acquire connected skills, IT and procurement. I don't know about you, I don't know about other people who are in this area, but what helped me is that I was in different roles and I tried different things, because what I want to understand is not just what I deliver, but why. Because you need to know the why and you need to know the how. Why IT is because you need to understand where the data sits, and you need to speak with the IT people, their language. When they talk about firewalls, you need to understand what a firewall is. When they talk about scripts or access rights, you need to understand what that means, because otherwise you're lost. Procurement is usually right now, at least I'm seeing the shift, is the area you work with, you work for. So you need to understand what drives them. Why are you there? You're just managing licenses, or you're managing licenses because 3 dots. Ask your procurement why they need you there, why you're being paid your salary. You learn that, you'll progress in your career. Let's move on to number 5, unless you have a follow-up question, Fredrik.
No, I don't have it.
Number 4, sorry. Yeah. Obvious thing. So actively engage in ITAM community. So what I want to talk about here is all my points are about somebody building an ITAM career, somebody passionate about ITAM, not just a career, and ITAM happens to be your area. So if you want to be, if you want to progress, and if you want to be not hunting for jobs, but being hunted, actively engage in ITAM community. Right now, the tide is coming. People more actively engage online. Working from home goes nowhere. We won't return back to the office. Everybody, be online, be present, bring value, and engage with other people's posts. Thus you will be visible, and that will help you to progress in the industry. Be in the industry, be visible in the industry, and you'll become hunted.
Can you give some examples of, let's say that someone right now is just, which platforms should they be active on?
I think LinkedIn. Forget Facebook. LinkedIn is a very good place, and supported by YouTube. That's what we're doing, and that's what you're doing. And I think it's the right way to go, because LinkedIn gives you, first, it gives you organic impressions. And there are only 2 platforms right now that give you organic impressions. It's LinkedIn and TikTok. I can hardly imagine someone making a real career on TikTok in ITAM. It's not the right audience. And YouTube is a place where you save your evergreen videos. It's the only platform with the search capabilities or browse capabilities of all the old content. So this is the combination that I think works well. And if to give you an example of who did that, well, I did that. So when I was still working for a company, I started posting in August. In about 2-3 months, people started coming to my comments, asking me to go work for them. That's how you progress. And the job offers are fantastic. I had to deny them, though, because I wanted to go my own way.
What do you think about writing blogs? Is that something you should be doing?
I actually think yes. I think yes, because that, well, that's another. Some people consume written text, and again, this comes from my personal experience. I get people right now talking to me and asking, Alex, can you please add textual content to your videos, because we have no time to watch, but we have a lot of time to read. So maybe it shouldn't be your first priority, but if you plan to do a mailing list at some point, you need to start writing. Something simple. Don't make it a corporate, boring, censored. I'm not going to say that word. Make it fun. Make it short. Make it snappy, and write.
But it's useless if you just write something if you don't are active on social media and people are reading it. Because then you might post something for, write a blog every week and nobody's reading it.
So when I say engage, I mean be there yourself. So you need to, you write a blog and you put it, you share it on LinkedIn. You share it on, if you're on Facebook, if you have a good following on Facebook, I'm saying there's no reason to go on Facebook right now and try and grow following, but you have like 10,000 followers there. And they're not your, flatmates or somebody who walks a dog with you, then maybe it makes sense to post there as well. Links to your blog, good idea. But then you have to be present. And when I say you have to be present yourself, do not hire agencies. One of the mistakes that many companies are doing, even big companies, they have personalities in there, but they already outsourced it to an agency. Agencies may be brilliant, they will never be as passionate. So it needs to be you. People need to see you. We're talking about career in ITAM here. Career is a person, related to a person. So a person needs to post themselves, not with automated tools. Engage with comments, engage with other people's posts. That's how you become visible. It's simple math. It's not rocket science.
Well, I see the mistake is that people are very selfish. If I use that word, is that they come online and they've written an article about something, they've just posted, and then that's all they do. Oh, well, I posted something on LinkedIn. Whew, now I've done what my management asked me for, or whatever. But they realize that, hey, if you have, and then they think, oh, but we never got. I posted this article, 5 or 10 people liked, and it was often colleagues of you, and whatever the people are in your company. But they don't realize that if you have not been actively engaged, as you say, with people online, and then you come online and post something, but you have never liked or engaged with anyone else's post, why should anyone engage with you?
They're never gonna like. They're never gonna engage with you in return. That stuns me sometimes because, me, I like almost everybody's posts. And these people, I know they're present. Why they don't like mine? What's wrong with them? So. And that builds a bit of a negative image about those people. You start thinking like, why are they kind of, why would they withhold their like? What's the problem there? Why don't they engage? They just sit there, keep quiet, consume the content. You lose interest. I have lost interest in many of the content creators because all I can see from them is just posts and maybe 1 or 2 comments under their own post, and they are not present anywhere else. They just very much containerized to their own feed. Well, shall we move on to the third point, please?
Yes.
So take challenges you aren't yet qualified for. This advice probably applies to everything. So when I progressed in my life, this is a personal experience. It was always through something that I couldn't yet completely do. When somebody would ask me, can you do that? And I would take the challenge and do it. That's how you learn. You learn very quickly. You learn because you have to. You learn to because you made a promise. And that's how you grow. Don't try and promise to someone to, operate on an open heart if you're not a surgeon or if you don't know the basic surgeon skills. But we're talking about ITAM here. So if you know basics of Oracle database and you work for a company and they come to you and say, can you also take care of middleware? Don't just pull back and say, no, I can't do middleware. I've never done it. Take a challenge. That's how you learn about middleware. A good idea always to watch redress compliance trainings. But unless you have practical application of that knowledge, you won't have the skills. So combine these two, take challenges, and you'll grow, and you'll progress in your ITAM career.
I would make a disclaimer here. We put out a few job ads looking for people, and we have 3 lines of requirements. Must have that experience. And then we have people who are applying for us, which is always nice if people want to work with you, for you. But if you don't fulfill the basic requirements on such a job post, maybe consider not applying.
I would. But I would if I was 90% sure that I fit, and I'll go and try do the interview. I would never have told you. That's how I progressed in my life. People, when I first saw a personal computing, what was that? Like a proper IBM PC. That was 1990, I think. Maybe before that. Yes, I was in a uni And somebody came from a faculty, I don't remember the name of it, and they just asked, does anyone know how to work with computers? I looked at those people and I understood nobody knows how to work with computers. And I had some computer experience, but never with IBM PC. So I tried different other computing systems at the time, Atari, what was the other one? ZX Spectrum. So I thought, well, it's just another computer. And I said, yes, I can do that. I had no idea. When I first saw the interface, I was absolutely just baffled. But in a month, I knew everything at the time because it was easy to learn. Same thing here. If you apply for a job and you're 90% confident you'll fit, go and apply for it, because you'll gain that 10% on the job. You'll gain it. Just be confident, be yourself, be authentic, not yourself. Be authentic, be relatable. And that's how you get the job. That's how you progress. So, Fredrik, I'm pretty sure if somebody would come to you and say, you know what, guys, I'm lacking knowledge here and here and here, but I'll catch up. I'll watch your videos. I'll talk to you. I'll talk to other people. Would you not take that person if they were passionate enough about progressing?
Yeah, but rarely do you have, at least we are very simple in our job descriptions. But yeah, definitely, if it's just missing a few years of experience, of course. But if it's a fundamental thing as like, can you program in Java, and they can't, and they have no experience doing that and no skills in doing that, we are not going to be a school for you. The same as we often put in, can you analyze Oracle audit scripts? And if they've never worked at a company who are doing this and have no experience doing that, and that's one of the core functions, that's too big leap to take for us.
But that's when you talk about switching jobs. If I was talking to, say, somebody who's experienced in Microsoft data analysis, and he will be asking me about career advice in a company at the end user, and he would ask me like, Alex, would you suggest me taking that job that, you know, currently C-level is looking for someone to look at the Oracle scripts, but they don't have the money to hire external consultancies, so I kind of like in a checkmate situation. We have no money to hire someone else. I'm here. I have no idea. I would say just take it, learn it. It'll take time. It'll take months, if not years, to properly learn it. But take it. You'll progress. You'll progress from Microsoft area to the Oracle area. I mean, you know, I advertise myself as a Microsoft licensing consultant. I know Oracle. How do I know Oracle? Because I wasn't shy to take those challenges, to look at someone's Oracle licensing, because at the moment there was no free Oracle consultant in the company. But I'm not saying, because your example is extreme, and I agree with you, if somebody hasn't done a single bit of that work in their life, they really shouldn't apply. In that case, they should go and learn. And that's, by the way, that's connected to my second point on this list, which is quit jobs where there's no progress. I think you shouldn't really, if you understand, if you come to a company and that company promises you, we're going to train you, we're going to let you progress, we're going to give you challenging cases, and nothing is happening in the first year, I would be already worried, but maybe they're just looking at you yet. You know, you're gaining trust internally. Second year, there's either something wrong with you or with the company. If by the end of the second year you haven't been trained or haven't been, you know, given any challenging tasks, quit. Just move on. Find another job. If the job market is fluent at the moment, if people are moving around, if there are job positions, take another one. Because you won't learn. Stay in that space. I've been in situations being completely ghosted by the management for many years. This is not fun. You get bored. You stop caring. And the worst thing about that, you stop caring about the customers, which I would never allow myself to stop caring about the customers, because you get bored in general. So quit jobs when there's no progress. You want to progress. There's no progress. It's a simple math. Quit. That's it.
But how do you get the new job done if somebody's asking? And I think maybe go down. Is it going down here to if you're not networking with people on? I think was it you who told me that? I mean, there's never been a better time for an ITAM professional than now, when everything is online and you can network and get so many connections with people online. And is that the way to get?
I'm not sure it was you, but I would put my signature under those words. 100%. You need to be present. It's actually funny enough. There's a demand and very short supply of good ITAM professionals, and there's a demand, but at the same time, it's extremely hard to find a good job position because it's a very niche market. So unless you have a reference, unless you have a visibility, unless you have something you can show to your potential employer, or they might have seen it themselves because they're present in the same social channels, it'll be harder. But it's not impossible because companies are hiring. Be careful where you apply to, ask around, but companies are hiring. And there are currently open job positions. There's a shift from end customers jobs to consultant jobs recently after COVID, because what happened is companies foolishly, instead of saving millions on licenses, they foolishly decided to cut their people numbers. I don't know, why would you fire someone in exchange for throwing your money down the drain, giving it as a free gift to giants like Microsoft and Oracle and VMware and whatnot? Why would you do that? What on earth is in your head? But it happens, and these people get fired. But consultancies have been actively hiring throughout the whole COVID period. There was there was a dip, but there was no. There has never been a zero number of positions in ITAM. Think about that.
Where would you recommend people apply for jobs right now? Can you name a few companies?
Talk to small consultancies. That's all I can say. I don't want to promote anyone. I'm sorry, but I can't name a large consultancy right now where I would definitely just say go there. Sorry, not ready. There's no unicorn in this industry right now. There are a few nice places to work for.
Yeah.
But that's it. So I think try and small consultancies are more hesitant to hire people because obviously the budgets are lower. So they cherry pick. I mean, take redress compliance, for example. How many people did you refuse? And I would refuse just anyone, if somebody just out of the blue appears and says, Alex, I have lots of experience in Microsoft. I've done that, and that. If I can't verify that, I will be hesitant. If you have no reference, I will be hesitant. If you have no social media presence where I can at least see what you talk, what are you about, I will be hesitant to hire you. But still, I think if you get to a small consultancy, so that startup culture, that's where you grow. In that startup culture.
Okay, the last one.
That's my view. The last one. Always learn new things. Always. I mean, that's the top thing. That's how you progress. If we're not talking about office politics, sucking up to management, brown nosing, excuse me, but that's what happens. That's another way to build your career. But if you want to be an ITAM professional, a trusted advisor who's very passionate about what you do, ITAM, software asset management, ITAM licensing, audit defense, IT procurement, all things ITAM. If you want to be there, you need to constantly learn because, well, licensing rules change every month with some vendors, but at least in the Microsoft area, I have to nowadays almost twice a month check the product terms website to see maybe there's something else. Maybe there's a new product. Maybe there's something that they've just deployed, but it's not yet on the product terms. You have to learn that. You have to constantly learn something. And fortunately, I think we need to make a separate live here just to talk about free resources where you can go and learn and read stuff, get some free certifications. I think it would be a good subject for a video. But even right now, follow content creators, follow those who we will be talking about in the next videos, top 5 Microsoft, top 5 IBM, top 5 Oracle people. Follow those. Read their advice, talk to them. Many of them, by the way, You won't get free consultancy. So don't think you'll get free consultancy. But if you ask for an advice, very few people would refuse to give you an advice. So yeah, just do that. Use free resources. There are lots of free resources. So yeah, I think we should put another live in the pipeline, where you can learn stuff. That's my top one advice.
Okay, very good. Interesting things. I will move on to mine. Top 5 actions to take if you want to further your ITAM career. I have a bit of the same thing here as you had. Move around. Don't stay more than 3 years in the same company. There are, of course, exceptions to this, but I think it's a bit that what you talked about, Alex, is that you need to constantly learn things. And I moved around in my job, and I would say the first 2 years is probably where you learn 80% of all you're going to learn in that job or that company. Because once you move to a different company, first off, you're getting a new network of contacts, new friends, new colleagues, new way of thinking about things, and you're growing as a person when you're moving around your company. When you start the first year, when you start in a job, okay, everything is new. You learn a lot of new things. It's fantastic. It's great. I think the second year is about execution, about what you actually learned in that first year, and then the third year where you stay, it's 20% perhaps. And if I look back at, I moved from Oracle to Insight to some other small company, then to Readers Compliance. I think if I didn't move to all these companies, I would not be where I am today, or as successful as I am today. So my advice, even though you like the company, but okay, unless there's a great manager and you're learning things, you can stay. But in general, have this rule: don't stay too long. Move around, get new knowledge, build your network. Because I think if you move to different companies, you get new network as well.
So how many employments did you have in the ITAM? 3, wasn't it? Before you decided to go your own way.
Yes. So Oracle, Insight, smaller provider, and then Readers Compliance.
By the way, what make you move from one to another? Do you remember that? Do you want to talk about that?
At Oracle, I was there for 9 years. It was just too long, and as well, the pay was a bit strange, and you didn't really grow. I was really successful, but I didn't really grow as a person. And then an opportunity came along. Started at a reseller, Oracle licensing, which was a completely new world because being at the vendor, you only know what the vendor knows. But then I was at the reseller. Okay, maybe I knew a bit more what's happening with the customers, because you have an NDA and end customers are willing to share information. And I often say that I thought I knew everything when I left Oracle, but then I started working with customers on that side, and I realized that I didn't know anything.
Yeah, I agree. I've seen people quitting Microsoft and then going back into the real world, and some of them are have very well adapted quickly. For some of them, it took years to understand that the world is not actually how they see it from the Microsoft point of view. The side Microsoft of view, it's different. This is how the money is earned, and this is what the actual problems of customers, not what you learn in sales trainings. So yes, you have to. Would you ever recommend someone to go and work on the customer side? Because I have never done it, and I'm kind of regretting it, because I don't really see stuff with their eyes in ITAM, which doesn't help with sales, honestly.
I was actually thinking that the other day and think about it. It's too bad I didn't do that, because I know that many end customers are very differently, but at least you have a bigger understanding of the challenge of the people that we are talking to, right? Or the finance and the organization, the politics. Because I think we can add in here on this one. I would recommend you work at the vendor, you work at the reseller, and then because I've done vendor, reseller, small firm, now my own firm, right? So, and the only thing that I'm missing is the same as you, working at an end customer, because it helps you so much to, when you're engaging and talking with other people, if you know and understand them better, what they're coming from, it's going to be less misunderstandings, and you're going to be a much better consultant.
Yeah, 100% agree with that.
Number 4, same as you, network, use social media, join communities, post, exchange ideas. I would recommend, if you are on LinkedIn or YouTube, if you think things are good, content that you see are good, you should be liking, you should be commenting, or you should be connecting with that person. Never just read it. If you're just going to read it, the person who created it don't know who you are. It is not, you're just one of 10 billion people in the world, really. It's so important that you either press at least a like, or just leave a comment, or connect with this person, or just send that. Maybe the author say, you can, let's say if you've written something, Alex, and if they think something is really good, or something video is really good, what if you just send out, hey Alex, I thought that was a really good article, thanks for sharing. That's how you build networking. And you don't know, Alex, you might be having your own firm with 10, 20 people in a few years, and those are things that are building relationship. You're not building anything if you're just reading and reading something great or watching something great, but if you're not leaving any comment or engaging, that's a mistake. You might as well just have an anonymous social media profile then.
I cannot agree more with that. So, yeah, I think we do resonate here in this regard, and I think I was talking almost about the same. Do you have? I was gonna ask. Do you have any personal experience that you can share? How you started networking and how it opened your eyes to the world of networking? Oh, wow, it works. I'm actually getting some traction here. I'm getting some visibility, and interesting people get connected to me, even customers.
I don't think about that. For me, I've done this before I even saw any traction. It took me many years, actually.
That's okay.
Yeah. I often tell you, it's like going to the gym, Alex. In order, before you're going to see any results, you have to be there for a while. And it's the same thing here. And I think I mentioned that as a comment to you. If you're one of these person who like writing one article and then you disappear, then if you don't write share content regularly, if you don't like or comment on other things, you might as well not do it. It's a bit like going to the gym. But if you go to the gym once a month and then you eat hamburgers and stuff like this, and you're not going to see any results.
Yeah, well, tell me about that. Exactly. We get those, you and me, on a regular basis. People coming to us and saying, I tried posting on LinkedIn, a couple of videos, a couple of posts, there's no traction, nobody's commenting. Should I stop? No, because as the famous Gary Vee said, the one who holds their breath longest wins. So when we say engage, it won't produce quick results. So hold your breath. 6 months, 12 months, maybe a couple of years to get some traction, to get visibility, post often, engage with the community, and then you'll see results. If you make even the most brilliant video in the world, maybe 50 people will see it, maybe 5 will like it. And then you get disappointed because you've invested yourself completely in that video. And it's not gaining the traction you wanted. You wanted to have the same numbers as we do, like 1,000 views, 500 subscribers, 800 subscribers. It doesn't happen in a day. You build that up, but it's totally worth it.
Can you just keep on talking here for a few seconds? I need to connect my charger to my laptop. It's gonna run. Just 1 second.
Well, Gary Vee keeps saying, I will refer to him, that it took him 6 years producing content about wine that no one was watching at all. So that gives you a perspective. These days, by the way, it's much quicker. So there are some people, depending on your niche, depending on your topic. If you go on LinkedIn right now and start teaching people about LinkedIn, be on LinkedIn and teach about how to use LinkedIn. Those are the quickest progressions. But we're talking about ITAM careers here. ITAM is not an exciting and sexy topic. There are not that many people in this very niche area, but you can still gain a substantial following. The upside to that, by the way, that there are not that many people, is that the quality of people, the quality of network is much higher. There's much less noise. Fewer people that are there just because it's fun, because it's something trendy. It's not trendy. So think about quality of connections. So for me, my 2,700 connections right now may mean exactly the same as 50,000 for Jonathan Palmer, for that regard, because those are quality connections. Outside of maybe 500 my schoolmates, the rest are people, either customers or somebody who brings value, or somebody who gets value, or somebody who puts little likes and comments and just engages. That's how we build it. That's how we build it.
Yeah. Let's move to the number third one. Work with people who you can learn from. And, I want to talk about this in general. Not even when I was at Oracle, it's so important that you work with people. I often say work with people that are better than you, more experienced, more professional. Sure, you might. There might be. You might want to find, nobody's perfect, and what you want to do is you want to find someone who complements you so that you become a good team. But also it's really good to work with people that are more experienced than you, maybe in presentations, maybe it is how to write emails to your clients. Because that's the way I learned. There's no point in me mentioning a few names because nobody knows who they are, but it's people who's been very senior, been around this industry for a very, very long time, and you pick up nuggets, how to do presentations, how to interact with customers, how to write emails, small nuggets that you take and learn from them, that building you up as the better professional.
Sometimes it's a very difficult person to work for. So my first line manager in the UK, Chris Golf, I'm going to give him a shout out just for that one thing. He's a nightmare to work for. He's sporadic. He's like full of sudden flashes of energy here and there. Visionary. When you say somebody's visionary, it's a compliment, but you need to be aware what that means. And each time he would ask me to do something, that will be somewhere around, Saturday night or very uncomfortable time. And he's a very typically English. He would say, Alex, can you please just make a couple of adjustments? Translating from UK English to other people English, that means redo the whole presentation. But every time that was a huge lesson. So yes, I was grumpy. I was overreacting, but I would take that, I would change it, and then suddenly understand, wow, I've learned so much from that person now, because he gave me a new perspective. He gave me a new view. He actually corrected my wrongful view of the world. So it's not necessarily someone whom you immensely like in every aspect. I do like him, by the way, but in every aspect. It may be a very uncomfortable person to work with, but I have tremendous respect for him because what I learned from him.
Well, that's a good point. I was actually going to say that, well, the people I worked with have actually been people that I connected very well with on a personal chemistry, right? I think it's important that you work with someone who, I actually think it's good to work with someone who's more senior. It's really important that you also are willing to learn and accept new ideas that you were perhaps not open to before, because it's about improving yourself and understanding that nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect, Alex, and it's a constant learning and how to be a better person and better professional. I think, and the same with what you talked about earlier, that it's about learning. It's about learning not only licensing rules, but it's about learning how do you become a better consultant. I've worked with people who have had all the knowledge in the world in Oracle licensing, but if they were not good consultants, so the clients were complaining about that consultant. And that means that he or she was missing the personal skills to make the client feel well. It's not enough to just have the licensing information.
There's a Russian saying, a good person is not a job description. So somebody might be a very pleasant person to work with, and you can have a real good personal chemistry with them, but you will never learn anything from those people. And they can be absolutely horrible in professional regard. So I think your advice here should be taken very, very precisely. Work with people who you can learn from. That's where you should concentrate.
I would, let's use it like, okay, if they think that you are good, Alex, or me are good, people who are watching this should be, okay, how can I work with these guys? Because I want to learn what, you're not going to be copies of us, but you're going to learn things that you didn't know before. And maybe when you see other people, how, super impressive person, and you ask around, are they really good? Okay, but how can I learn? Is that in the customer, being on project calls, or the way they're thinking about delivering licensing projects? I think that's what you want to do. You want to go to the places where you're going to learn. You don't want to be what they call a peg in the wheel at the big firm. I think that you're just not going to learn much there. I mean, let's say you have KPMG, you have Deloitte, Accenture, all of these big ones. Sure, you're going to learn the corporate way, but you're going to be very much in a box, I think.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So these big four, there's a big difference what role you're playing there. If you came there as a director with your own business, then, well, it's good for you. But if you're just a small person somewhere doing some assistancy stuff, do it for 3 years, quit, find another job.
Yeah, but I think you said it earlier, at least what I can see, the best people in this business are at small services providers. They are not at big services providers.
I think so, and there's also a tendency, and I can see that, unfortunately, there's an unfortunate tendency. People who build their brand, people who build their experience, they can go and join big service providers, and for the first 2-3 years they shine, and then they degrade. It's inevitable. That corporate culture, that toxicity, that, to an extent it exists in any company. Company can be toxic, company can be non-toxic, but there's certain corporate culture, and it creeps in, and then if you want to work for a large consultancy or a large company, a large SAM provider, large LSP, the second you start feeling like you're stuck, you're in a swamp, nothing is changing, your skills are still the same, you may be even doing less, it's a bad sign. Quit immediately. I've seen people actually doing a much better, even with a pay cut, kind of dive into risky area, learn new stuff, and go back into corporate. That was much better than for them to stay in that company or just jump from a corporate to a corporate. You need to revitalize yourself. It's take those risks and learn new stuff. If it stops being fun, you won't progress. Unless, again, I do this as a caveat, unless that's your dream to just make a career, and it's not necessarily an ITAM career.
About this small companies being bought by big companies, can you name one company that have been acquired by a much bigger company and that has been a success? No, and I've just remembered 6. Yeah, and they just die, right? They just die off. That's what's happening.
Yeah. And sometimes, so there was a case. I won't name it. I don't want to name it. Shame. In the UK, about 10 years ago. So people who know that they will know what I'm talking about. when a small company was acquired by a very large LSP, and LSP, in a few months, they understood that they've just lost everybody from that consultancy. And actually what they acquired was a few million of debt. So it's not to say every consultancy is like that and has a debt or anything like it, but I haven't heard a case. All the other 5 cases that I just immediately thought through were the opposite. So large companies acquired really brilliant consultancies, but because there was no synergy between the cultures, they suffered from attrition, unfortunately. So people left. And what you buy if you buy a consultancy, if you buy a consulting business, you buy 3 things. You buy people, you buy customer base, and you buy IP. Very few small consultancies have IP. That's why everybody is building their own tool, because you need to have that value to be an interesting purchasing option for a big company. Then what you left with? People and customers. People leave first, customers leave next. It's very difficult these days. People buy from people. It's very difficult to what's the word I'm looking for? To retain the existing customers of an acquired small consultancy if you're losing people who were working with those customers from that small consultancy. It's much more difficult to give the same level of attention to detail and customer service if you're a large company. Well, if you have a very well-defined process, then again, I'm trying to avoid names. If you have a very well-defined process of retaining customers and working with customers, and your existing culture is great, and you just have this non-organic growth by acquiring other businesses, fine, you'll manage that. But unfortunately, all the cases I've just remembered was either the company that acquired didn't have the framework to acquire that consultancy, to accommodate it in, or they did that, but at the point where their internal processes that were brilliant, they degraded for various other reasons. By the way, one of them being non-organic growth, because you can. It works both ways. So there's a Russian saying. Anyway, forget about Russian sayings. One says, if a toxic business joins with a non-toxic business, I have never seen cases when the toxic one cleans up. It always works the other way. It's contagious. It's contagious. Yes. So it's about thing. Toxicity spreads. So no, I don't. Answering your question, no, I don't know any case when that was a success in the end.
I would add something. To this is, you mentioned companies acquire people, customers, and IP. I would add something in this world in brand. And what you're doing when you're acquiring a company, you're killing the brand. If you don't leave it if you don't leave it out there and you're just pulling the website, you're pulling the name, it's like that company has never existed. You have killed the brand. That is actually I mean, let's use readers compliance for an example, right? I think we've created a really good brand where companies know the name, connected with Oracle licensing, lots of videos, lots of events. And if we would just be acquired by, let's say, Accenture, what's the value of companies? It would be the people, but the people are going to leave. The real value is in the brand, and where companies are watching and then thinking, hey, I want help, I'm going to go to these guys. That's the value. It's not like killing it off and removing the website and the YouTube videos. It would be no value in it.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I can see very good brands disappearing as we speak. At least 3 last year. So
let's move on. Let's move on here. Otherwise, the time is going to run out, Alex. My advice, number 2, specialized. Not in Microsoft. My advice, specialized.
Don't specialize in Microsoft. Don't. There's enough number of people there.
Yeah, exactly. And there was someone asking me. They were new in the licensing industry, and she wanted access to our Oracle license training. And she sent me a message on LinkedIn, and I asked her, why do you want to learn Oracle licensing? And she said, I'm new in the licensing industry. And then I said, well, don't focus on Microsoft. I said there's probably 1,000 Microsoft consultants on every Oracle consultant. And I think if you want to have a really good career with more opportunities and more pay, focus on the IBM, SAP, or Oracle. That's my advice.
I would agree with you. Don't specialize on Microsoft. No, but that's true. It's true. So Oracle consultants are more hunted. There are not that many Oracle consultants, and it's very difficult to bullshit people when you talk about yourself as an Oracle consultant or an Oracle junior consultant or Oracle data analyst. There's a lot of noise in the Microsoft area, and when you say there are 1,000 more consultants in the Microsoft world, to be honest, there are more than Oracle consultants. I can tell you that straight away, but not by 1,000. So probably I would say 3 to 5 times more Microsoft consultants, good Microsoft consultants, than Oracle consultants. It's not a huge number. People who really know, because whatever you've been told, and I'm talking not to you, Fredrik, but to whoever is on the channel right now or watching this recorded, whatever you've been told about Microsoft licensing being simple, no, it's not. That's lie.
Okay. Move on to next, the last one. And I talked about this, but I think it's so important. Develop all-around skills. And I want to emphasize presentation and consultative skills. I think there's too many people, and it's a valuable part to be a data analyst, but I think you're never going to be getting a more pay, at least not the same pay as the really good consultants. If you just do data analysis, you're going to be stuck in this area where usually the lower pays in this industry is. If you want to become a leader, if you want to become a manager, if you want to become more high paid, if you want to work at a smaller firm, for example, it's so important to develop skills around how to engage with people. How do you do project status update calls? How do you communicate with clients? How do you run a project? So project management skills, people skills. How can you take a pre-sales call? Because as an ITAM consultant, you might be attending pre-sales calls. And if you're not good with people, if you're just babbling around about saying nonsense things, you're making a fool of yourself. It's so important to develop this other, we can call it soft skills. And for example, if you're going to present something, I often have this advice. If I present something, can my dad understand this, who doesn't know anything about Oracle licensing?
Oh yes, that's very difficult.
Yeah, but that's so important to develop those skills. If you've been in data analysis and you're saying, I want to have more customer or client interactions. Well, how are you going to learn that? You need to, as I talked a bit before, you need to learn from others.
You need to start doing customer interactions. If you fail, you fail, but you have to learn from others. But I think if you have this question, I'm in data analysis and I want to be more present in front of the customers, just go with someone, ask someone to take them with you, sit there quietly, listen. You learn how to engage, you start engaging. You need to just, get out of your, get out of your discomfort zone, into where you want to be. One thing, you started talking about skills. I think one of them, what do you think? Okay, I'll ask that question. What do you think is the most important skill of a consultant aside from being able to explain something? What's the second one?
We are recruiting right now, and I'm telling people, okay, what I want is commitment, reliability, and trustworthiness. Team player. So when you are getting the ball, let's say the ball or the project in your hands, when it's in, let's say, data analysis, I want to know when are you going to be ready with this, and if you have any issues, you have to tell me, not the week or the days before, but a good time before that it's going to be delayed. Because
expectation management is probably number 3 on my list. Do you want to know my number 2?
Yeah.
It's an ability to say I don't know. I taught it in my previous business when I had a consultancy business in Russia. That was the thing I demanded from all people who wanted to go in front of customers. You must be absolutely comfortable with saying to the customer, I don't have an answer to this question right now, but I'll make sure I have it at our next call or meeting and when we follow up on this. Because that shows you, because what the danger of not being able to do so is you're going to either just deflate and lose all your credibility in the meeting, or you'll start bullshitting the customer. That's a big no-no. If you don't know the answer, just stay calm as you are. Be yourself, as I said. Don't deflate and say, you know what? This is something I cannot respond to right now. I'll write it down and I'll get back to you. That is the second most important skill in my view. So the list would be obviously what you said, your first line, then this, and then the third one is expectations management, which, by the way, very much resonates with the second point, because expectation, what it means is be comfortable. It's not pleasant, but be comfortable and be absolutely upfront. When something is going to fail, reach out to the customer and say, you know what, sorry, this has happened for this reason. So shall we move the end date by 3 days? Because if I promise to do it tomorrow, it's going to fail. If I promise to do it in 3 days, we're going to deliver. That's a very important skill as well. Yeah.
I often tell people that I work with, I give you all the trust, but if you break it, you're not going to get it back.
Yeah, that's a good approach.
So it's let's say we start working together. I trust you're going to do your work, and you say everything, and I'm not going to micromanage you. I'm not going to ask you anything. Just when you know, just if you keep your promises and deliver the outcome that we have agreed to, fine. But if you break it by basically giving me let's say a report the night before, where we're going to have a presentation to the customer, you have broken my trust.
Yeah, I understand that. No pressure on me. I don't know, very few people know that I also work for address compliance, in the shadows.
So that's it for today. It was nice talking with you, Alex. And
likewise here.
And let's have. It will be interesting when we actually rank the people in different vendor license.
Yes, please submit your candidates for our top 5 shows and explain why. It'll be very interesting, and we'll probably organize, if there are enough people on the list, we'll probably organize a voting on all our pages. Whom do you vote for, and see who wins, and then we'll present our view. Obviously, we'll have our own subjective opinion on that, and this show is called Undeniable. But if you dare to deny that, if you dare to argue, you're welcome in the comments.
Perfect. Speak to you soon, Alex.
Thank you. Have a good day.